sharing?
Yeah.
All right. And we also get questions and stuff from fans while we're doing it. We read those too.
Okay.
So, extremely live. All right. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. We got viewers. All right, guys. Welcome to episode 8 with Kaleigh Schrock. Thanks for joining us on this incredibly hot day today. So we'll do a sponsor plug first. Our main sponsor is Fan Cave Tickets out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you guys need any ticket brokers, those are the guys to go to. You can get your tickets anywhere, KHL, ECHL, NHL, baseball if you want to go to the baseball games in Toledo, Fort Wayne, anywhere else. We'll also be doing giveaways, and today the plug is we'll post on our Facebook page the first 10 people to call Fan Cave for tickets. You'll get $7 tickets to opening night for the Komets, front row and the upper level. So we will post their link and phone number. You go ahead and go to their Facebook page, give them a like, you can give them a shout, ask for Nathan Long, and they'll hook you up. So, and then the other big thing we want to talk about before we get going is August 10th, we're doing an alumni party. I'm sure everybody's seen it if you paid attention to the Facebook page. We're going to have Kaleigh out and several other former players to Rudy's shop beginning at about 5 o'clock. We'll have the everybody get to know each other kind of hour. We're going to start a podcast show about 6 to 6:30, and then we'll go until whenever the guys are ready to call it quits. And we're going to do there'll be barbecue food out there from Full Circle Barbecue and Grill. We're going to do raffles. There's a huge raffle prize we're going to be giving away. It's going to be a VIP trip to Grand Rapids for a Griffins game. Hotel accommodations, glass seats, lounge access to the arena and everything like that. So, but you have to be present to win. We're not going to call you and tell you, hey, guess what? So, if you want to win that, come on out to the party. We'll do silent auctions. We're giving away tickets to a lot of stuff, memorabilia, all kinds of stuff. So,
doing a big thing for Bob Chase's penny pitch.
Yep, all the money raised that night's going to penny pitch. So, come out and support all your old favorites and some of the new. We'll have some of the new guys there. Benny and everybody will be out. Frankies are coming, so if you guys want to ask questions, go ahead. Be nice. So yeah, everything else. So we'll go ahead and get started with Kaleigh. I know he was on a show the other night, so we're going to try to do some different stuff and go from there. So thanks for letting us do this, Kaleigh.
No, absolutely.
Your gorgeous home.
Hey, I didn't even have to move, so it's great. You guys came in and set up, so thank you for that.
So, well, the first thing we want to start with is you were born and raised in Fort Wayne, right?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
What's the life story that got you into the wonderful game we all love?
Yeah, so really, first grade, Croninger Elementary School. The teacher, Mrs. Samuels, one of my all-time favorites. We actually share the same birthday. She passed out it was like a McMillan Parks, activity sheet, and ice skating was obviously on there. It was the initiation program that McMillan started, and took it home to my mom, said, hey, Mom, I want to skate. And, they were like, that's fine, but they wanted to make sure, right? Like any hockey parent, what the hell am I getting myself into? So back then there was the rink at Glenbrook.
Yeah,
right, where
I remember
the
that.
food court is now. So yeah. She's like, we'll take him to the food court and we'll see if he really likes it. Went out, loved it, joined the IP program, and that was it. And my teacher actually came to watch me play when I was, and I still remember it, feeling like, the most important person in the world at that time, the biggest influence, came out to support me, and that's always stuck with me too. Like how much a role model can really mean to a kid, and still keep in touch with her to this day. But yeah, that was really it. Didn't know anything about hockey. My dad never played the sport, never coached it. He's a Bruins fan, so he obviously followed, Bobby Orr, and then it turns out the first coach I had at the pro level was Bobby Orr's D partner for a bit, Al Sims. So, it just shows you how small the hockey world really is.
Yeah. So did you went to high school, you played for high school, or did you go right into juniors?
Yeah, so I played high school hockey my sophomore year. So we didn't have enough kids to form a travel team, because that's right about that age where you have to make the decision, do I want to play, travel hockey or high school hockey, freshman, sophomore. And, a lot of guys are just kind of done traveling. They get burnt out. And I was definitely not done traveling, and I was not burnt out, but was really forced to play a year of high school hockey, but loved it. Obviously, it was different playing against, just
different kids.
Yeah, different kids, the kids I grew up with. And as a matter of fact, one of my teammates, that was his house growing up, my next door neighbor.
Nice.
And Grant Shear, he lives in Vegas now.
Okay.
But just playing with guys like that I always, grew up with, but they were more, recreational players. And I had an opportunity, had a good year at Snyder. And then the next year, played on a really bad AAA team in Fort Wayne, was coached by Larry Herb and Roy Davis, who's now the Mid-Am vice president for our district. And you know what? It was a bad team, but it really helped me grow. We got our butts kicked in Little Caesar, but I got to play a lot. And we had guys, I think we were calling from Michigan and they just to put a team together like every weekend. But and that's a lesson learned. I tell parents all the time, the best development isn't always the best team, right? Like if you could put your kid in a situation where they're going to play a lot and get the ice time against high-level competition, doesn't matter if your team goes 0-63, as long as your kid develops and can handle that, that losing's okay, and they understand that, hey, the individual development at that age is so important. So did that for a year. Then the next season, it was like the Continental Elite League. It was like a junior league. I don't know if you remember. It was kind of just
small.
It was just a small, league. And I went to a couple of showcases. We talked to like Traverse City and Dayton. And Dayton called me and wanted me to play on their junior team. And so I signed with Dayton. I'm thrilled that I'm playing junior. I know I'm going to have to move away from home. Yeah. Right. And they signed like 2 Swedish kids at the last second and tell me that, hey, we want to put you on our AAA team. It was at Dayton Gems, and Sean Ortiz coached it. He was an assistant coach in Danville for a bit in the North American League. And so he took over as head coach. And at the time, I didn't want to hear it because I wanted to play junior A hockey, even though it was probably more like tier 3 hockey, and had an opportunity, had a great year with the Dayton Gems. I think at the time we were the top 15 in the country, and had a really good season, and led the team in points. And then the rumor mill started to get going, and our owner was going to put a team in the North American League. So I thought, you know what, I'm set. They told me you don't need to talk to anybody because there was a few NA teams that I was talking to at the time, and it was my mistake. I put all my eggs in one basket. So, I'm going to come back here and Dayton and play in the North American League my 19-year-old year, and came to tryouts and felt like things were kind of weird the next year and didn't make the team. And it was a really tough pill to swallow. There's guys on the team that I played with in AAA that probably weren't as talented, but they were Dayton guys and they got spots. And there was obviously more that I could have done too, right? And that's one thing you always try to talk to these kids about is, there are politics involved in sports and any sport and in the real world, but what can you do to not have that be the final factor in what the outcome is, And for me, I could have kept all my options open. Right, and I didn't, and had to go play junior B in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Mike Flanagan had seen me and had really kept in touch with me, and that experience now for me being a head coach of a junior team at the tier 3 level is huge, right? Because it's I'm talking to a lot of kids right now that are thinking they're going to play in the North American League and are probably good enough to do that, but once again, I was told no, had to go to play junior B in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Mike Flanagan was the head coach. I mentioned his name. He was actually an assistant at Gwinnett for a bit too, and he took me in. I really learned a lot from him. Had a great year, and of course, halfway through the year, what happens? I get a call from Dayton they're struggling. They want me to go play for them, and a stubborn kid like myself said, I'm not going to play. At the time, their coach was it Frankenfeld, right?
That's right. I remember him.
Yeah. And so, he brought me in. There's another kid that came up with me, and we were playing my first game of juniors. We were playing the national development team. And so go out and score a goal, and I beat up Jack Johnson in that game. And, former LA King and American kid. And Frankenfeld asked, hey, you know what? We want to keep you here. And I said, no, I'm going to go back with Mike Flanagan and finish out my year with Grand Rapids, just because I felt like I owed that to that team. And
sure,
he, that team ended up folding. Dayton did about halfway through the year, a little after I had left. So ultimately, it was a really good decision. Not that I wouldn't have had a spot back in Grand Rapids, but finished out the year there. And then next year, I tried out for the Toledo Ice Diggers in North American League, made their team. Mike Mankowski gave me a chance as a 20-year-old, that
the veteran.
Yeah, was a veteran, right? And kind of, again, a late bloomer, right? And had the opportunity to play a full year in the North American League. And I want to say the coach there for the Toledo Cherokee that I had played against, was I think his name was Vargas, right? I can't remember his first name, but maybe
Sean Vargas,
maybe Kenny Vargas. I can't remember.
I remember the name,
but he really endorsed, me, and obviously Mike Mankowski, who I still talk to. He's running the hockey programs in Toledo at Tam O'Shanter, Pennsylvania, and actually called him before I took the job of the spaceman to say, hey, is this crazy? Can I be a hockey director and a head coach? Is that doable? And it seems like I'm always wearing like 3 or 4 hats.
Oh yeah.
This is this is going to be another challenge for me that I'm really excited about. But anyways, had the opportunity to play for Coach Manko, and by the end of the year, he named me captain, and I started to think about Division I hockey, and then talked to a few of the smaller schools, like in the hockey world, like UConn and Mercyhurst, and really at the end of the day wasn't good enough to crack it. To be honest, we went to a showcase, and I think Dave Smith, former Komet, was for Mercyhurst at that time, and he, I got in a couple fights at this showcase, and it was the first time I actually got beat up bad. Kid didn't have he was just heavyweight from this Canadian junior team, and didn't have his elbow pads on or anything at the time. I'd been in a lot of fights, but I didn't know that was like a great trick, because I had nothing to grab onto, and he just beat the piss out of me. And I think one of the coaches from Mercyhurst, it wasn't Smith, but one of them said, hey man, you're a guy that works really hard, but you don't need to be fighting at these college showcases, because guess what? You can't fight in the NCAA, so we'd like to see you, showcase more of your skills. That's your best chance. And that was a great advice. But ultimately, Dennis Williams was trying to recruit me to Newman College, and then Alex Todd at the time was an assistant for Gary Heenan at Utica, and he had talked to me, and there's a lot of D3 schools, and ultimately I decided to go to Newman because of Dennis Williams, he's coaching the Western Hockey League now.
Yeah.
And really, probably for me was as far as getting me to the next level, was the best coach that I have ever had. And at the time, I don't think Dennis, he was probably a little more green than he is today, obviously, but just a great dude, and helped me get to the next level. I consider him like the Bob Knight of D3 hockey at the time. I mean, he pretty much kicked off Newman was actually on ESPN the year before. I think they had gotten beat like 23-0, and they were like the bottom of the barrel, Division III. But I had an opportunity to go in as a freshman and play, right? And that was the biggest thing for me, is like, if I'm going to go to a school, I want to play right off the bat, because I knew my ultimate goal was I wanted to play for the Komets, right? I knew I probably at that time wasn't going to the NHL, but wanted to play for the Komets, and had my eyes set kind of on that prize. And had a really good career at Newman. Didn't really score a lot, but the team had a great, we had great success. By my senior year, we had a group of seniors that was about a 500 team, and we just got hot right at the last second. And I remember being down 2-1 in our first playoff game against Utica, and coming back to win that game. And I think we won like 10 or 12 straight to end up winning a national championship.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was awesome. And at the time, we had a first-year coach, Dominic Dawes, my senior year, and Dawser was very young, and pretty much just the seniors kind of bonded together. It was all Dennis's, it's all his guys, right, that he recruited, and had a chance to go to Plattsburgh and beat the #1 team in the nation in their building in OT, and got to play at Lake Placid and in the Final Four, right? So
nice.
Great experience. We were actually in the same dressing room that the 1980 Olympic team won the gold medal in when we won the national championship. So talk about a cool feeling, right? It still gives me goosebumps right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you looked at it and you walk in the room and you're like, this looks nothing like the movie Miracle. You know, it's just a shit locker room. Excuse my language. Hopefully, gosh, there's no kids watching this in my program. You know, do as I say, not as I do. But it was just a great experience, and ended up, winning that national championship. And, thanks to guys like Colin Schrock and Gary Graham. And, I got a call from Al Sims. I was playing baseball at the time, right? And got a call from Al Sims and thinking like, hey, do you want to come back and play in a few games so we could get you eligible and see if, you can make our playoff roster? I'm thinking, holy smokes, like right now I'm in like baseball mode, right? We just won the national championship, I'm on cloud 9, and this finally is starting to come to fruition, right? And so I obviously talking to my professors, and I still had a commitment to the baseball team, and that's big secret. I actually love the sport of baseball probably more than hockey. Just as far as playing it, it was something that, and I didn't have that opportunity with my first 2 years in college, not to get sidetracked, but I had to, when Dennis left, I just said, okay, there's no hockey coach right now. I'm going to go out and play baseball, and had a great year my junior year. And then my senior year, they got a new baseball coach that really brought in some good players. So I wasn't as much a star as I was the year before, but I still wanted to play. I loved it, and had to make a decision. I ended up saying, I'm going to stick out my senior year, just make sure I graduate in school, which Newman was totally fine with me doing, finishing up on the road, and I had a really good GPA. I think it was almost like 3.8 in college. So they had no issues with that. I had great professors. I really got a shout out to Newman. Just if you're looking to go to a school where you get a small area classroom environment with all the nightlife you want, hey, go there, right? And because you're obviously next to Nova, St. Joe's, Temple, all those big schools, Jersey Shore. I mean, come on, there's all stuff,
fun parts.
Yeah, there's stuff to do. There's actually a bar that got shut down. We had went to a few times. It was quite the nightlife. Let's just say that. Ultimately said no to the Komets. Said, hey, I want to come back and try out in the fall. And then of course they win their back-to-back championship, and then ended up signing with them the next year as 2010 year, win a cup. So looking back, I don't have many regrets, but to say that if I had made that team my, senior year, the Komets, and graduated in Fort Wayne,
right,
I could have won 3 rings in 2 years, which would have been, pretty damn awesome, right? But then I also I could have also went and, shit the bed and never had the opportunity to make the team, because they might have said, this guy doesn't have what it takes, So that was kind of a thought of mine at the time. Well, I'm in baseball mode right now. How am I going to feel in a professional hockey game right before these guys are winding up for the playoffs? So it's I had the opportunity to take the whole summer and really work out and get in hockey shape before I tried out. So probably wouldn't have changed anything, but do I look at my, the rings that I won and think, gosh, would it be nice to have another one of those? Absolutely, it would be.
Yeah.
So, and then, had a career with Fort Wayne, and here I am now. So that's kind of how it all got started. I know that was a long story, but
no, you're good.
Try to give you the
story
details.
Everybody loves.
Yeah.
So we all know about the hatred between Fort Wayne and Toledo. We played your junior there in Toledo. Was the hatred still there even in that level?
You know, I don't think at the time, I don't know if the Komets were in the league with, right? Because they were in the ECHL.
Yeah,
Right,
I think Toledo took a year off, I think, in there too, between the Storm?
Yes.
And then the Walleye?
Yeah, and they built that new rink. And actually at the time, there was it Nick Matusi was the head coach there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when the Komets were still, I think, in the Central League.
Yeah.
And I think I went on a visit to Toledo. I was thinking about playing there just because I was thinking about playing in the ECHL. It was like maybe a little bit of a step up. I mean, AA hockey is AA hockey, but I definitely think the ECHL is, out of all the AA leagues, is the best one.
Yeah, the coast always has a good rep for players, talent-wise.
It does. And not to say that there was guys, I would say the coast is faster, but like in the IHL, like the game was just, it was older guys that slowed the game down. They knew how to play the game the right way, and they weren't going to be, idiots either away from the puck. And it was a slower game, I guess, speed-wise, but it was still faster on like decision-making, right? Guys are making right plays. Like you think about guys like Robinson and those guys from Muskegon and Evansville, like very smart players, and like guys like Colin Schrock. There's just those heady, crafty players that can play at any level, but maybe just because the money's right, that's where they're at in the CHL or the IHL. But I was thinking about going and actually playing in Toledo, and then I had heard news that the Komets were maybe going to jump. And Robbie Laird, I had talked to a few times. He actually got me connected with Mark Taylor, who was the coach for the Ontario Reign, and was really considering that. I'll tell you what, that was there's nothing I hate more than giving good people bad news. And I remember the day I was walking around outside, like had to call Mark Taylor and Robbie Laird and let them know, you know what, like I'm gonna stay in Fort Wayne. And I was like, felt like I was gonna let Robbie down, and I hope that he understood my decision, that if the Komets do go to the ECHL, like this is I need to be in my hometown, like, because this is what I've always wanted to do. So, and let's face it, I don't think that I ever really had a great shot to be an AHL player or climb the ladder. There was maybe a short opportunity after my rookie season when we won. We actually beat the Flint Generals in 2010. That was a triple, my rookie year. No, not the triple overtime. This was, I think we won game. Say it was game.
Oh, that was Port Huron. I think it beat triple, wasn't it? Yeah,
Port Huron. So this would have been 2010, and Benny was actually on that team with Brian Slominski. And so
wasn't Jamie on that team too?
Jamie
Jasmine?
Yes, he was. Yep. And so we won the cup, and obviously Bruce is in the building because he's watching his kid play, and he was down in the dressing room, and I got a picture with him. I'll have to show you guys before you leave, but I need to have Benny have him sign that for me. Maybe that could go.
I don't think it'd be too hard.
No, I don't think so. But so Bruce got me an invite to Hershey's camp, which was awesome. Got to go to training camp with them, and that was the year of the lockout, though. And so there was a lot. I mean, not that it made a difference for me. Like, I'm not gonna blow smoke and say I had a really good opportunity, but I did have a couple good games and a good experience there. And Hershey, Holtby at the time was in their camp, and that's like my claim to fame is I scored a goal on Holtby in an inter-squad scrimmage, and then had a good fight against Zach Sill, and then that was it. I came back to Fort Wayne, and you kind of feel like, I went to an AHL camp, and then you get like the kind of complacent, and like thinking I was better than I really was. And for me, it's always been, look, if I'm not playing hard, I'm not worth a damn on the ice. And that's just the way it's always been for me. Where some of the skill guys can get away with, maybe not skating as hard or putting as much effort, but let's just face it, they're skilled players. They can still make things. That just wasn't the way. That's not how I kind of operate. So, are we off?
Yeah, I think so. Videos from before us. some reason.
Internet?
Yeah.
You know what? Morgan, can you bring down the Google and just plug it right into their computer so they're hardwired?
You just want the circle thing?
Some reason this computer does that.
Huh?
Sometimes the computer will do it
I
too.
was gonna say, like, our internet, and actually I just had them come out, like, it's probably about a month ago and replace our box, so it shouldn't, I hope it's your computer and it's not us, but
It's still playing.
we're still live on yours?
Yeah,
It just says the live video is paused. That's the only thing.
it's still.
So,
Now my wife's in the picture just showing our janky internet to the whole, no, that'll work, just,
I didn't know.
maybe,
I'll let you guys see it, but here's,
you might need, oh, hey, whoa, is that
this is
the
what I'm
call?
hearing.
Okay. Just don't want to unplug our,
There's that.
okay.
Honestly, having that close.
Should be
And
good.
then, do we need an Ethernet cord though?
Let's see if we can.
It's back up and running on.
Maybe it's just your computer that's,
Maybe it's just showing it. Yeah. No, everybody's saying we're good. So.
all right, well, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine.
So I don't even know where we were. Talking about, being complacent, right? Coming back and just not having, feeling great in training camp because the speed is, and then the regular season started and we had moved to the Central Hockey League. And I remember just getting off to a really bad start. Our team had gotten off to a pretty bad start. And of course, Colin Schrock wasn't there. He was in Italy that year. And, it took like a game. Al Sims was like, you need to start, hitting and playing like you used to. And so I did, and I think I scored and had a fight. And then from there, I learned, holy smokes, like I can't be like that guy that just thinks I'm going to go out and score a ton of goals or without working hard or making things happen.
Right.
And that was a good learning experience for me. But yeah, so I had that opportunity, and obviously thanks to Coach Boudreaux for even giving me the shot and giving me an invite to camp. But it was a great experience for sure.
Nice. So we'll save the spaceman stuff for a little later. But a lot of people are asking. They've sent us questions before.
Sure.
So you played in the IHL and all those days, CHL, and if you had to pick, what was your favorite barn to play in besides home, and what was your absolute most hated barn to go to in your career?
That's a really good question. Some of the best ones, obviously, Rapid City was always fun because they had such a good crowd, and it was like kind of a smaller building, but like it was so loud.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously beating them in 2012 after they had eliminated us in 11 in their building, and there was actually a pane of glass that came out like the last 10 seconds, so they had to take like 30 minutes to put the pane of glass in, and we knew we had clinched it, and we were just giving it to their bench. I remember there was some things I said to Conrad Reeder that let's just say I should not say on this podcast because people think a lot less than me. But
it was in the glass. You're okay.
Yeah, and but yeah, that was a great experience. And I would say, I always loved playing in Dayton.
Yeah,
right.
The old
Hera. But I will say, like, Sunday games in that rink were just, it was terrible, right?
Yeah.
It was just like, because there wasn't really a crowd, and I kind of liked it because I had played Silver Sticks in that rink, right? So I was like, wow, this is like going right back in a time machine.
Mm-hmm.
But their locker room was like getting ready in your grandma's basement. I mean, I felt like it was just, it was not a real, it wasn't like a real locker room. And just going there, and it was just like, I remember like our first game of my rookie year, we get there and Chalk is like, this is double A hockey, Schrocky. This is what it's all about. And we actually went to overtime, and Leo Thomas buried the game winner. But I was like, maybe, like even the D3 facilities are a little nicer than this. But once you get to the ECHL level, there's some, usually most of the rinks are
a little more upgraded.
Quality, But so playing in some of those older rinks, like even KZoo, I love playing in that building, and they did tweak the visiting locker room, so it's a lot nicer. But Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely Rapid City was one of my favorites, and Dayton was probably the worst.
So Frank from Indiana, Texas, it's got to be the IMA in Flint, right?
Yeah, Flint. I think a few times, a few of our guys like got assaulted there. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like
that doesn't surprise me.
yeah,
I remember Benny and Shazzy talking about being on the wrong side of the tracks at the time.
oh yeah, no, I can't even imagine playing there.
He said they would never hang out in Flint. They'd go to
Yeah.
Lansing, over to Michigan State and hang out with all the college kids
Oh
and stuff instead.
no, for sure. I remember Flint. We were playing a game and some guy kept calling me Kaleigh, warm ups and chirped me that I had a girl's name. It's like nothing I haven't, heard before. And I turn around, and I see his like fiance or wife had like 2 teeth, and I'm like, your wife, or your girlfriend, and she just looked at him like she wanted to punch the guy. But I remember Leo Thomas too giving it to some guy that tried to grab him, and Boosh did something. But yeah, I mean they were like relentless when you're getting off the ice. They're trying to grab you, and
Was it?
it's like a slap shot a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Flint that you guys were playing when Boosh skated and went to the ice and Superman punched that guy?
No, that was at home in Bloomington.
Was it Bloomington?
Yeah, it was
I'll
Bloomington.
never forget it. I saw him coming. What? Oh,
Well, and that was, and I don't, I joke around with Chalker because I have a great relationship with him.
Yeah.
But that was actually, so that all happened. Oh man, somebody ran, somebody ran somebody or something happened, and maybe it was even our goalie. I can't quite remember.
Boosh was pretty hot about something.
Yeah,
so.
it was Palmer for them for Bloomington at the time had done something to one of our guys, and it was like a hit from behind, and it was dirty. And I remember we had 3 games in 3 nights against Bloomington, so it was like in warm-ups, everyone's asking Palmer like, hey, let's just get it out of the way. And so I remember asking him like 2 or 3 times and trying to fight him. And coming back to the bench, and Simmer was like, you got 3 games, just don't,
Don't rush it.
Yeah, don't rush it. Don't do anything stupid. We need points. And so, like, all of our tough guys are trying to entice him and get something, and nothing happens. And, of course, Chalker goes out and just, like, drops the gloves with him. And what happens, Palmer knocks him out, like, literally.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember seeing it at the time, like, your captain, your leader, I mean, he was, like, knocked out and his arms were, like, straight up in the air. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was scary. Like, it literally, and I was pissed off at the guy, and that's something that I hate, like, I've done a lot of, probably dirty things, but, you try to always atone for it next game. Like, if somebody asks you to go, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
And the
There's
fact
a code to it.
Yeah, the fact that he wasn't willing to do that, and he picks on our captain, who he knows, he's a lot, that just
Chalker was never a fighter.
No, but Chalker's tougher than anybody I play with, just in a different way. And just the fact that he would go out and just do it, and then obviously I felt bad because I'm like, well, I should have just jumped the guy because even if my reputation is ruined, at least our captain's not, looks like he's never going to play again, and. But now, now that and Chalker and I, when we talk, sometimes we get a little bit gutless in our chirps, just because we know each other, we can. But now now I call like Chalker the candle when blowing he's out, put my arms up and pretend like I'm a zombie, like coming back from the dead, and like he'll laugh. But and then so like then we had Bloomington at home, and after that happened, it was like. It was like
Games, turn here.
This is for real. And Boosh just like, you know what? I'm just gonna skate down, and literally there was like a scrum. I think Bryant Molly got it going, and Boosh just skates down and like Superman punches the kid and broke his nose. But you know what? It's a good lesson for Palmer. Like he didn't want to take it on himself, and now his goalie got his nose broken because he didn't want to stick up for his own I guess his own actions. So, but that was definitely something. That you got like Boucher, who's like the last guy that you would think would do that. But you know what? It shows you what kind of teammate he is, and like it was just like a brotherhood back then. It still is. That's what I miss most about the game. Just your time with the guys and that kind of family and companionship that you have.
Yeah. So, who do you think? Who was your toughest fight you ever
That's a good question. Emerson Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty tough. And I remember he and I got in a fight in Toledo, and he got me pretty good. Just like right in the eye. My eyes, swelled up pretty bad. He was a tough one. I always had problems with guys smaller than me. I felt like I was never afraid to fight anybody bigger than me because I always felt like I was pretty quick and had a pretty strong core and could. Yeah, I was kind of a little unorthodox too. I'd always try to duck and dodge and weave, and Justin Stife, another guy who played for Arizona. It was not Arizona. It was Laredo. I'm sorry. Yep. He was pretty tough. I had a good fight against him. Obviously, the fight I had in Hershey's so was a pretty tough dude. But yeah, there was I fought some guys, and luckily the big guys never landed a huge punch. I did get tallywhacked in the head one time by, I think it was Justin Smith. He was from Arizona. And I would always, the big guys, my goal was just not to get killed, right? Not to wear one in the face or the nose. And I was trying to set up, so he would throw a big right. And sure enough, he did. And when I went to duck, I got too far out of my toes and fell down. Ooh. And I was so I knew the uppercut was coming. So I just kind of turtled and ducked my chin and my chest, and he just popped me around the top of my head. And I'm surprised my brain didn't come out of my ears and so that was one definitely that I just remember just getting my butt kicked at a pro fight. And that was probably the worst fight I had at the pro level, just because I slipped. But it was But those guys are definitely ones that I remember that kind of hit hard, and you felt it when you went back to the box. Sometimes your adrenaline's going so much you don't really feel it. I'm glad I never had the opportunity to fight Brad McMillan because I mean he's a guy that I would at the time I was dumb enough to probably go against, but I mean he was a tough dude, and he had all the little intricacies of how you fight down. I remember he was fighting Reckledge in Quad City one time, and I was watching the fight, it looked good, and Reckledge caught McMillan with a right hand, and it broke Macker's nose. But he was so good at hiding it and not letting the fans know, so he just finished the fight real quick, got out the ice, and nobody knew that his nose got broke. I'm gosh, when I get hit like that, I'm leaking all over the place. It's but he just, but he was one of the toughest guys, and he really taught me. He taught me everything, as far as because I had to take 4 years off of fighting, playing NCAA, right? Yep. So when I got back into it, I was a little bit. Just raw, right? And as a matter of fact, this is kind of a good story. So we were playing our third exhibition game. This is my rookie year, right? So didn't know I was going to make the team, obviously, and I'm stretching before the game. And I will write a book someday, and this is going to be the opening chapter of the book, okay? So I just remember stretching, and I had played 2 games at home in Fort Wayne, 2 exhibition games, and I was absolutely terrible because I kept when I got back to the bench, I kept thinking about my vision of the game was from the seats and not from the ice, just because I had sat in the building, as a season ticket holder since I was 7 years old, and I just couldn't get it out of my mind that now I was playing, I'm not watching anymore, and it was just I wasn't playing my game, I was just kind of enjoying the ride that I'm in training camp, and and I really wanted it bad, but my mind was not in the right spot. And I just remember stretching and Gary Graham coming over and saying, hey, look, you've really got to do something in this game if you want to make the team. You're on the outside looking in.
Right.
And I'm oh my God, so I'm just stretching and I'm nervous, and I'm just thinking I just remember probably for a good 2 minutes, just closing my eyes and thinking about everything that I was thankful for, going back, winning a national championship at Newman, knowing that, hey, if I don't make this team, nothing can take that away from me. I'll always be a national champion. Right. I've already had a really good career, right? Not a lot of guys have that opportunity to even win a national championship at any level. Yeah. And just thinking to myself, being thankful for everything I do have, and it kind of just made me less worried about what the result was going to be from the tryout. And I walked in, went right to Brad McMillan, and I said, who do I have to fight to make a name for myself or to make Al Sims like raise his eyebrows? And he's like, just fight anybody, but don't fight Robin Big Snake and don't
I
fight
remember that guy.
don't fight Jason Lawmaster. I'm like, okay. So I go out and ask Matt Krug, and I think it's on YouTube. He literally just like pounds me a few times and like throws me to the ground. I just get like dummy. I'm like, oh my God, like I am so getting cut from this team. So like, now I'm thinking like, you know what? Like I've got to go fight Big Snake or Lawmaster and just pray that something goes right, you know. And so there's a scrum in front of the net, and Lawmaster's out there, and the goalie covers the puck. And I just remember like giving him a cross check as hard as I could right to the stomach, and he literally just grabs me, and I throw my gloves down, and I probably just throwing as many as like fast as I could, and just hammering him as hard as I could. And actually he goes down, and then I go back to the box, and I think that the crowd is starting to support me a little bit. And then later in the game, I get a 2-on-1 with Brad McMillan, and we end up scoring a goal together.
That's awesome.
He actually made a pass on the 2-on-1, and I put it in. So I had a goal and a fight. And the next day in the paper, my parents are obviously reading everything. I'm living at home at the time, and Al Sims, I remember he quoted, is like, it's really hard to, release Kaleigh after that performance. And from there, I just remember I made the team. There's a guy they cut named Vince Lays from Maine. He was 10 times the hockey player I was. But I think at the time they had enough goal scorers, right? Yeah. They had guys like Schrock, Peroni, who had had a sensational rookie year. Yep. And PC Drew and Leo Thomas, all those guys, Shafanov, Sierzinski, right?
Forgot about him.
Yeah, all those guys, man. And so like Huckalo, right? Like yep. All those guys, and made the team. I just remember like Chalker telling me every day, like, you just have to survive, and thank God, like I got to be his penalty kill partner for the first part of the season. I think we actually did it for a few years, and I think that was kind of the way I stuck, is I was just trying to be physical and bring something to the table that other guys didn't bring, and do the things that maybe other guys didn't want to do, and kind of stand out in that way. And that's another lesson I always try to teach kids, even if they're in third grade. Like, listen, you want to stand out in anything, just be really great at doing things that other people don't want to do, yeah. Right? Like, if you're at work and you see trash on the ground, like, pick it up every time and put it in a trash can, or just like, you're going to stand out, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of what I did to make the team, and ended up sticking and having obviously a great rookie year. But yeah, that was kind of how it all started. McMillan was like, dude, you gotta, don't stay away from Big Snake or Lawmaster. And then he came up obviously after, and he's like, you're crazy son of a bitch. And like, was really happy.
Hear him say
it was really happy for me. And so that's kind of how it all got started.
So did you ever have a moment where you kind of wished you wouldn't have got into the fighting role at all, or?
I'll be honest, like, there was times, I don't wish I never got into that role, right? Because I think for a guy like me, is I wasn't skilled, so I had to do that. Yeah. So it was kind of my key. So I wouldn't say that I wish that I didn't, but there were definitely times in my career where, like, especially later in my career, where maybe, and there was times that I was a captain, I was like the 10th forward, right? Yeah. And like, I knew that, like, it was tough because I wanted to do more. I wanted to play more in the regular season to do more for my teammates. And,
right.
And at the time, if I can't really do things on the ice or put in get the minutes that I felt like I needed to be a real leader, I had to fight, right? And I had to get the respect that way. And there was times where, like, you're 28, 29 years old. There's kids out there that are 22, and they're just like I was, yeah. Breaking into, and they know how many penalty minutes I have, and so they're trying to make a name, for them. And I think by that time, there was definitely nights when I didn't want to do it, or maybe I was a little nervous because I always liked it when I got in a fight, and it was kind of just like the emotional part of the game. Yeah. Right? Like, okay, you really ticked me off, and now we're just dropping. But only about, for me, like, I would say 20% of my fights were like that. More were just like predetermined, like, you know you're going to have to do it, or you look at the scoreboard, you're getting beat 2-0 at home, and you need to create a spark, and then you learn, like, as you become a better fighter, it's harder to get those fights, right? Because no one's going to fight you if you're down 2-0 on the road and you're trying to get a fight. So you almost have to become an artist at enticing guys to drop the gloves, right? People think, you see these young kids like want to go, and it's like, buddy, we're up 3-0 at home. Like, you guys are dead right now. Like, I'm not going to give you any life. But then, like, there's certain situations where you're like, oh, you know, I haven't had a fight in like 6 games. Like, you know, you might just, you know, stay fresh. And so, but yeah, there was times I definitely was tired of it. And I understand why guys, like, it's tough mentally. That's what a lot of people don't understand is think about going to school or doing your job, right? And doing a really good podcast today. But knowing that in the middle of doing this podcast, you're going to go out to fight a guy that's 250 pounds that, like, that, you know, like, are you going to be as good at doing your podcast?
No.
No.
Be worked.
No, yeah, right. Your mind's going to be somewhere else. So, and I think a lot of hockey fans and, you know, even like guys, like I understand, like, a lot of guys come out and they're talking about like concussions and how, like, a lot of fighters fight depression, you know, and there's like, no one understands that kind of role. And I'm not saying I was some heavyweight, because, you know, I wasn't, let's face it, you know, I was in a lot of fights and, but I wasn't, you know, like at the magnitude of guys, you know, of heavyweights, like, you know, you look at like guys like Grimson and Bob Probert who are doing it at the highest levels, and even playing on teams at a very high level, and what they go through, you know, to try to not only find it, like, you know, to keep their job, but also, like, they don't, like, no one knows what those guys are going through. And again, you know, I don't feel sorry for them either, because
they chose that.
That's their ticket, right? Like, I mean, you know, I don't like that when guys come out and they go after teams, or they say this is, like, I knew what I was getting myself into. Like, I had my orbital bone broken, and I would never, I don't know what that is, but
sounds like they're like,
yeah, it even scared my dog. He's like, what the heck's going on right now? But you know, I don't feel sorry, because you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Same thing with football players, like these guys in the NFL that come out, and I understand, like, yes, it's a very serious thing, but like, every player knows the risk of injury, and every player, I haven't heard one, like, person say, hey, I didn't like the nightlife, or I didn't like, you know, girls wanting to hang out with me, or, you know, being in a spotlight. Like, none of them turn away from that, right? Yeah. At the time, but like, after it's done, when you're paying the price, now they want more, right? And but they still wouldn't take away that experience. And so, you know, it's tough, but that's just kind of where I am on it. And, you know, it's a tough life, but at the same time, I was blessed and had a fantastic career and wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. So that's one tough question, was the injury.
Yeah.
Do you remember it hitting? I mean, did it knock anything out of memory there? Or, I mean,
no, like, I remember it. Yeah. Like, so it was in Indy, and actually, it was, to be honest, like, yeah, I got my ass kicked, but it was a little bit of like a sucker punch. It kind of caught me off guard, because he was asking me to fight, and I was almost like, my back was turned like this, and he asked me to go. And I said, sure. And I thought we were going to like turn around and square off, right? And when I turned around, that's when I got hit. And so that really ticked me off. And I mean, I knew that it almost felt like when Emerson Clark kind of got me in the eye. Yeah. You know, he didn't break anything, but really like swelled up my eye pretty good, you know? And this felt like a little bit different. Like, it felt like that, but something was kind of wrong. I probably should have stopped, you know, right then, but I was so ticked off that he hit me, and I wasn't ready for it. And obviously, you got pride a little bit too. You don't want to get your butt kicked, especially in Indy. So I just tried to finish out the fight, and remember going back to the penalty box and saying some things to him, and then just getting off the ice. I remember going in the shower, and you never do this if you have a swollen eye, but just like blowing my nose, and just like boom, like everything just popped out. And I remember, you know, I wasn't very, like, the trainer, like, or the team doctor was not, I mean, nothing against whoever the docs are in Indy, but probably like just the worst doc I ever had. Like I remember sitting on the table and I remember being in so much pain, like I really couldn't like focus enough to answer the questions, right? And he was like, yeah, you know, I don't think it's anything serious. You know, he's probably good to go back to Fort Wayne. And so I just remember being on the bus and my head would hurt so bad for like 3 seconds, like excruciating pain, and then my stomach would hurt like for 3, and it was just back and forth, and by you know the second I'm praying for the pain in my stomach because my head hurt so bad. It was like back and forth. I knew something was wrong with my body, and so they took me and dropped me off at the hospital in Fort Wayne. I got to say, I had like the best teammates ever. Like I know Zid, Pat Nagel, and Mike Embach were part of that team, and nobody talked the whole way on the bus. There was no movies or anything. Like they were dead silent, like because they knew I was in pain, and like that's something to me that like I'll never forget. You know, like for them to do that, like 'cause you know how guys are after a game, they want to wind down, they want to chat, and everybody, you couldn't hear a pin drop in that bus, and I gave my teammates a lot of credit for that. But I remember getting to the hospital, and I had like little fractures too in my forehead. My mom's there and they're freaking out, and I'm wearing like a hoodie. My mom pulls off my hoodie and like, oh honey, you know, like touches my head, and I'm like, you know, drop the F-bomb and like don't touch me, you know, and like just shout at my mother right in front, right, and everybody's like, wow, Kaleigh Schrock's probably a big ass, but like I was in so much pain, you know, and so then they did the like diagnosis or whatever, and they said that they said that I didn't have that nothing was wrong with my eye, that it was more and sure enough, like we find out, I go to a different guy in Indy, like a specialist. The team sent me a guy, Dr. Burgett, who's fantastic. Went to see him, and he's like, no, your orbital bone's broken. You have to have this surgery. And so they performed the surgery in Indy. The Komets sent me to this specialist. I mean, the Frankies really took care of me, and he did a great job with my eye. I had to miss the outdoor game. I was kind of hoping my eye would be back for that, but you know, and I didn't realize it at the time, but you know, when your eyes, obviously, when your orbital bone breaks, there's like a little pocket that your eyeball kind of sits into. It's about, you know, it's about like the strength of like that bone that surrounds it's like almost like the strength of like styrofoam, you know. So it's that just had exploded, and so they put like a piece of like milk jug plastic kind of behind my eye to support it. And that just took so long. I had double vision for probably 2 or 3 months and couldn't see, and had to wear an eye patch. In fact, my wife sells me a bet. Like I did not want to go out in public with that thing, and she was like tired of sitting around the house, and I had to wear these eye patches all over. So I was a little bit insecure about it. And I was like, you know what? I will go out to dinner with you tonight if you promise that you wear an eye patch to a dinner when I'm all healed. And she still hasn't done it yet. So for anybody listening,
I think we can hold her to that.
Yeah, I think it's fair, right? Like, you know, and she does a fashion blog too. So if there's anybody out there that knows like these really fancy eye patches, let us know, and Morgan can put it on her blog, Teach the Look. So, but yeah, so she still hasn't lived up to that end of the bet, but
it's a few years overdue.
Yeah, I think a few. Yeah, talking about like 4 years overdue.
We got a big party coming up.
That would be nice. Yeah, she should go to the party with an eye patch. And I can even get her a.
I think that needs to happen.
Yeah. So no.
But bring her. We'll get it to happen.
Yeah. We'll get her like a parrot and a peg leg too, so she can pull it off like she's a pirate or something. But no, that was one. That was probably the injury that.
Frank says you guys need to double on that one. That'd be great.
Nah, I've already. For Frank, I've already paid my dues with that. So, but I'm glad you're listening. Shout out to Frank. He's a great guy. He actually's helped me out a lot, and what came to our spaceman trial. I know we'll talk about that in a bit, but really good dude, and thank you for listening, Frank, and congratulations to you and your team for the big national championship. But no, that was one where I just remember having like double vision. This doctor was like, you know, when I had an eye patch on, I had great vision, and then when I took it off, that's when my eyes were like crisscross. Yeah, like, and I looked like Sloth from Goonies. Like my eye would literally just like wiggle when I took
kind of like concussion, like post-concussion kind of thing. Did you ever have that?
I don't know if I ever. I mean, I probably had a concussion at that time, but like I don't know if I've ever had a concussion. I mean, I probably have, but like I say that I haven't.
I got rocked once and I remember my eyes, I swear they just sat there and wiggled.
Wiggled? Yeah.
for weeks.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what my left eye would just kind of wiggle when I took the patch off, and then it would just go right in the corner, like, and it would just get stuck there. And he's like, yeah, you have to build up that strength back in your eye, and you have to do these eye exercises. And I remember like taking the patch off in his office, and he's like, is there any spot, like look around where you don't have double vision? And it was like, yeah, it was like in the top right corner of my vision. And I just had to practice looking at that spot and gradually get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I realized when I got my eye patch off that my eyes were like really bad, just because I had never worn glasses before. So I just thought that I had a great vision. And then that's when I got glasses, and really took till I was 30 years old to learn that my vision was really bad, but still don't wear contacts. But yeah, that was kind of the beginning of the end of my professional career. I think the Komets and I kind of made a decision. I know like I was a financial risk for them if anything ever happened again. Right?
Yeah,
they don't want to pay for that. I don't blame them, and they're also concerned about me, which a lot of owners don't think that way. And I'm glad that I had the support of the Frankies, and the position opened up at the Ice House with Schrock going to KZoo. It opened up where I could become the hockey director there, and it was like, you know what? Like I've had 6 years. Would I still play? Do I still feel like I can play? Yes, but like, am I going to be able to walk out of hockey 2 years from now and have a job like this and still be around the game?
Yeah.
And so that's why I ultimately decided to step into the real world. And that was a tough decision, but one that I'm certainly glad I made.
So we got some questions. Ed, you want to read some of the questions?
Yeah, Larry Schmidt asking how the hamstring's doing.
They mean the hamstring or my Achilles?
He said no more sky zones, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be
Okay. Yeah. The Achilles. Yeah. No, for sure. It's almost back to full strength, Larry. I'm training to be in the alumni game again, and probably going to set you up with a few more goals. All right. As long as you just stand back door and you don't have to shoot the puck too hard. No sky zone. I know they're sponsored the Komets, so I'm not going to badmouth them. But if you've got kids in sports, I don't recommend sky zone or the warped wall.
Hey, while we had a minute, if anybody's not busy tonight, Larry Schmidt is doing karaoke up at Auburn Brewing Company tonight. So go out and say hi to him. Make him do a penalty call over his microphone or something.
Make him sing the Komet song.
Yeah, there we go. We'll do that. We'll see you tonight, Larry. You got any more?
So, I got one more. Ryan Lixton. Who was the most skilled player you played with?
Ooh, that's a really good.
On the Komets.
On the Komets, yeah. So, man, like, obviously Chalker's up there. One guy that was with us for a little bit, Luca Caputi. I think he was a Penguin prospect. Yeah, it was the year of that lockout. I think it was our first year he was really skilled. And I will say, Sean Sidlowski, so obviously I was a penalty kill guy, and especially my last 2 years, I always wanted to stick it to the power play because, like it's like a defender's offense in football, right? It's practice. And we always wanted to give our skill guys a tough time on the power play. And Sean Sidlowski was one that, like, his head's always up, and he's so, like, good with his hands, and he almost looks like unorthodox, so you don't really know where he's going.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always one that, like, I could never figure out when I was on the half wall, like, trying to take away time and space and, like, try to take away his passing lanes. He'd always find a way just to put it through my legs or put it over my stick, or, like, there's just some guys, like Patrick Kane kind of has that ability, like, where you know how you look at the guy's, like, body language, and you find a way to make him play through that player. And it's something that I don't know, like, it's really tough to teach, but Zid definitely had it. I would say, like, out of all the guys I ever played against, like, Sean Sidlowski was just going against him in practice all the time and never being able to figure him out. Definitely, he's up there. And then the guy Luca Caputi, he wasn't in Fort Wayne long, but he just came to a few, and you could tell, like, I think he was kind of like, kind of like one of those guys that maybe, I don't want to say he didn't work hard enough, but I would say he definitely had the talent to be in the NHL. But why he wasn't there, I don't know, but he was the guy that I just saw a few things he did in practice, and I was like, holy smokes. And obviously, Konstantin Shifranov, for him, I was playing against him when he was in his 40s.
Yeah.
Right. And, like, as a rookie, I had seen him and as a season ticket holder.
Kind of grew up watching
him. And then I'm like, in line with him, and I was always afraid to go like make passes to him because I would, I was afraid that I would screw up the pass. And like then I figured out you really can't make a bad pass to a good player. You can put it behind him and he can still catch it or in his feet. And so he was one that, and then he got into coaching a little bit, helped Gary out later in my career, and really helped me out a lot. But definitely those are guys that I think of. But they're all different in different ways. You know what I mean? Like Chalker was just so smart and just, he knows how to win like every little situation. And I think he's so detail oriented that you can just learn something from him every time. Like when we would do like little drills, he's like, this is a secret to winning the drill, and his mind just thinks like that. And so definitely different ways, but yeah, those are the guys that I think of.
So your other half is trying to post a picture of an eye patch right now, and won't let her do it.
No, good. Is that what she said?
Yeah.
Huh?
It's like, darn, trying to post a picture of the eye patch, but won't let me. I bought him a cheetah print eye patch. He was styling and profiling.
I was. New Year's Eve, I actually took the thing off and scared half early birds out of the building, I think, when my eyes started doing the googly eye. And, but no, for sure, yeah. That's funny. I expect that to go on her blog then. If she's going to post it, she should post it of her, That's fair.
Posted on his Twitter, Frank says. I think you're screwed now.
I might lose all my followers if they see that thing with my wiggly eye.
Let's see. Somebody said, down the road, would you ever become the Komets coach if you could? Is that something you're looking for at all?
I don't know. I think that to be a part of the Komets organization, like that's something that I would keep open. I don't know. Coaching at that level is difficult, right? Not that I'm afraid to do anything that's challenging, but I think that just my last few years, I just kind of realized that it's almost a crapshoot to win at that level, and just because you've got guys that are there, they're motivated for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
You have guys that just want to play in the AHL, right? You have guys that are with junior experience that don't have a college education. They're just playing because they don't know what they're going to do next. So they're more, maybe they care more about their individual stats than they do like what happens with the team.
Right.
You've got guys in probably places like, Florida or that just want the experience of playing like hockey in a gray area. And then you've got guys that really care about winning. And so as a coach, I've always been, when I think about coaching, it's nice to coach at the junior or college level because you really can create that bond with your team. It's much more difficult to create that bond at that level. And I think, as a captain, that's one thing you always try to do is, you've got so many guys in this camp, you got a third of the team in this camp, and you got to try to get as many guys in the winning camp as possible to get those other guys to buy in.
Yeah. Right.
Like even if that's not their full intention, like, let's face it, like a lot of guys are followers, right? So if you can get them in the same group, or as many of those guys as possible in the same group with the winning group and that mentality, you have a better chance. But I would say I definitely need to try to establish that experience at the junior level and learn a lot more about the game before I would approach that. But, I would say that it's not like, I guess, on my to-do list, but I would definitely entertain it and I'd love to be a part of that organization in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll go ahead and somebody asked how you like married life so far.
It's great. I cannot complain. I've been married about 10 months now, so still newlyweds, and can't complain. So it's been great.
Yeah, she seems pretty nice letting us do this podcast here.
Yeah, anything you can do to pump my wife's tires, I appreciate it. You know what they say, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
She's listening right now, so.
Still gonna have to wear
no
that though.
No one's paid me anything negative about my relationship, because there is none. So.
All right, so we'll move on from that. How about the new venture? What made you? What really got you over the edge to do the spaceman?
I got to tell you, like, it's really tough to leave trying. Right? I love it up there. Just matter of fact, just finished a camp with 64 kids, overnight camp. So that's why I've lost my voice. For those that have heard me speak, you know what I sound like right now isn't my usual tone, but it was an opportunity for me to become more familiar with that older age group, right, and to coach kids at a little bit of a higher level, but also with working with the Fort Wayne Association, having the opportunity to have something kind of at the end of the the amateur level that is high level hockey, where kids in Fort Wayne can have the opportunity to make it to the next level in their backyard. So really, the reason I got into youth hockey 4 years ago when I retired was I wanted to give, even if it was one kid, the same opportunity that I had.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, like, if I die tomorrow, like, I can say that, I had a great life because of what I accomplished and just the experience that I had and the great parents and support I had.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to give that to somebody else and just say that I helped somebody get to that level. And so that's why I started it. And then as I learned, like, hey, like, there's a lot of kids out there that I work with every day that have no shot at doing what I did. But you know what? Like, if I can make them feel good about myself, or there's something they can take to, their future that I help them with, like, to me, that's what I really learned is like, hey man, like, this isn't all about just playing hockey. This is about like showing kids the right way to do things and trying to turn them into good young people. And this is like a chance for me to kind of almost come full circle with kind of where I started with the younger kids, and now having that chance. And obviously I'm a very competitive person. And obviously being able to compete too, that's not really the goal of this team. As I said it all along, I want to help kids advance to the next level or get them to their next step. But it's fun trying to win games too, and trying to teach kids how to win and how to be successful, and helping them through failure, right? And so that's really what led me to take the job, and obviously, to work, with guys like, Todd Ramsey and Todd Hensley, who does a great job over at the field house with the tournaments he runs. So I know it's supported by good people, and John Finch as a general manager has helped, and we've, named an assistant coach, Josh Moles, who, he was part of he went out east and he helped out with the Washington Little Caps, and has a great experience as a Fort Wayne kid too, and played at Culver. So, having his support, he's more offensive minded too, so that helps me as kind of a defensive minded coach, So it's really just a great opportunity, and also to help be a part of this new rink management company that's coming to town, and still overseeing, the hockey operations in Fort Wayne, and helping with that, whether it's adult league hockey, hopefully again working with DJ Fisher, who's done a phenomenal job of growing the adult game in Fort Wayne, and obviously connected with the guys like Frank and Kevin Cole has taken a job at Purdue Northwest, and the guys up at Trine that I've learned from the last 3 years. So there's an opportunity. It's a really good one for kids to play hockey here and then not have to go far from home to get the same experience in college. So I can still work with the kids, I can work with kids at the top level, and I'm doing hockey, right? So it can't really get much better than that now. I will say, like, when my next week ends at Trine, I'll hopefully have a little bit more,
a little more time.
But it's been a lot of fun, and just the way things have kind of started to advance, because let's face it, we got September 14th our first game, and I got to have a roster filled by then. So, but I've always kind of liked that pressure, and that's kind of how I've always been a fear of failure is kind of what's kind of pushed me or motivated me.
Now, are you guys, when are you going to do training camp? Is it like a couple weeks before?
It'll be like start of September. We'll start with practices, and that's when guys are going to start shuffling into town. So we've got a showcase this week in Chicago, where we're going to go for our league to hopefully help sign a few more players. And then obviously when guys figure out that they don't have a spot in the North American League or the higher level, then they'll
start trickling in.
Yeah, they'll start trickling in, but we've made some really good connections with some local kids at Fort Wayne, and I think that's where I wanted to start, right? To recruit, be good at recruiting in your own backyard, and then hopefully bringing some kids in from out of town as well.
Oh, yeah, I lost what I was gonna say.
So we got the 4 guys now, is it, that you have?
Yeah, 4 official, but we're really close to announcing a few more. But I'm not going to say what yet. And there's probably we've made some good connections with some of the kids from some camps that we've been at too that are just weighing some other options. But we're really right where we want to be right now as far as recruiting, and I'm a little more confident than I was when I started about getting this. Like I say to John, all we got to do is get it in the boat in the water, and then it'll sail. But it's always with the first year program, that's the toughest part is getting guys in here. Obviously Jared Fisher being a huge signing, having him, and really excited. I actually had Brendan Lambert, Corbin, Sheeble, and Jared help me with the camp. This last week. They were my instructors, and they did a phenomenal job, and it kind of allowed an opportunity for me to talk to some of those guys as well. And then obviously get to know them at a higher level and kind of talk to them about the season and what our goals are. So, but yeah, I think Jared's already obviously getting a guy like that will help us recruit more players to the team, and he's already gotten us some names that we're close on. So
nice.
It seems like a good start. Watching the guys at the class last weekend.
Oh yeah, really good start.
It was fun watching them.
No, really good start. And I want to thank all the guys that came out to that to kind of let the coaches give us an idea of how these guys that are really trying out kind of compare to some of the top players at Fort Wayne, right? And so we let a lot of guys come out the first time just to create that experience, and then obviously next year when we have a full year to recruit and build for camp, I hope that we can sign a lot of guys out of training camp, and then obviously still do our work and go to the North American League camps and the NCDC camps and try to get guys that trickle in.
It was neat to watch that tryout camp at the Ice House, but they had Indiana Tech guys there, Felix Cronwall's out. I saw him skating around, literally dwarfing everybody.
I showed up and I didn't realize that we had the college guys out there. That guy's too big to be eligible to play.
No, I wish he was, but
everybody did.
No, he's a good player. We do these pro skates in Fort Wayne. We call them pro skates, but really they're just similar to what you saw, maybe with a little bit of an older group, but guys like Jackson Leaf and Coach Bachman, Matt Miller come out, and really a great experience. And for me, selfishly, I love skating against those guys and staying in shape, and it's a lot of fun. And we just had the Battle of Fort Wayne tournament that DJ Fisher put together, where a lot of those guys played in it, and it was a blast. And Blake Stephenholler was out as well, so it was a lot of fun. And obviously next year it's a great recruiting tool for me to say, hey, talking to kids from Michigan or the Illinois area to say, hey, come over, skate one of these pro skates, and then I can walk you over to the field house and show you the off-ice facilities, and show you the dressing room. And I think that can be a great recruiting tool for us. Yeah.
I know everybody's pretty excited about the Spaceman. I think you guys will have a good crowd. The other question I did have, you guys have all your billets filled? You guys still looking for billets? Because we can put that out here.
Yeah, obviously, the more options we have, the better. So we're not going to turn away. If anyone's interested, definitely put them in touch with me or John Finch, and we'll go through a background check and we'll talk to them. But I know that we've also got apartments right close to the rink for some of the older guys. So that's an option as well, where we can put guys in the apartments and make sure they're close to the rink where they can be supervised. And then, obviously with the local guys, we've had a lot of the local families step up and want to billet. So that obviously helps as well.
For you guys that don't know, billet family is it's like you're housing a player, almost like a foreign exchange student kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know I had a great billet family when I played junior. So you basically house them, they live with you, you feed them, all that other stuff. There's a lot of stuff that they can get in with you. That Kaleigh can help you out if you want to talk, or John Finch if you look him up on the Spaceman page. So it's a great learning experience for family. I remember my billet family said it was the best decision they ever made because they learned a whole new culture
Oh, absolutely.
from, Missouri to here. Apparently that's a huge culture change, but Midwestern. So yeah, so if anybody wants to know anything about that, get a hold of the Spaceman, Kaleigh or John, anybody else over there.
They can just private message you.
Yeah,
Or whoever through the Spaceman Facebook page.
yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, yeah. And even you can message me on Facebook, and that's fine. I can put them in touch with Finch. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you think of? Anybody else got any questions out there?
Middle of September's the season start.
Yeah.
You said?
Yeah. September 14th. It's going to be here. It's going to be here quick.
Before you know it.
Yeah, it is. And
You're sitting on the couch sweating.
oh yeah. No, but like I love that nervous energy. You know, and really, but really just thankful for the support I have. And I know John Finch is an advisor for a lot of players, and he's been really hounding the phones and trying to make phone calls. I know last week was a tough week for me with the overnight camp. Obviously you're trying to make sure 64 kids don't kill each other and you can survive and they have a good time, which we had a great successful camp. But now that that's over, I've got one more camp at Trine. It's a day camp, and you can bet that we'll be on the phones and going to camp. We had an opportunity to see Griffin Fisher up at Shreveport's camp at the in Canton, Michigan, right? And they had their main camp there, and he didn't quite make that team, but that's another guy that obviously we really want, and he and his family have to make some decisions and see if it's right for him. But he's a kid that I really think can play at the tier 2 level, and if he really grows in the next 2 years, NCAA hockey is an option for him. He's just very skilled player, and those are the types of guys we want to help, and I want to help get to the next level.
Sure.
Is last weekend, was that the last camp that you guys are going to have here in town?
In town, yes. But like I said, this next weekend in Chicago, it's a showcase for our league. So it's not just us. There will be other teams there, and they do a really good job. I'll be coaching one of the teams, and we'll have evaluations for all the players when they're done. So it's an opportunity for us to to really go out and see some of these kids, and there's going to be a lot of coaches talking to a lot of guys, but you just the biggest thing is you just got to try to teach these kids how to make it to the next level. And even if they're not on, if they decide not to be with your team, you're just trying to help these kids out, right? Because we all have the same goal. We all want to get better. Yep. And it is a competition. We need to be selfish a bit at times and make sure we do what we can to help our Spaceman team and make it successful. But at the end of the day, it's just about helping kids whenever you can. So.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Before you guys go, make sure you guys stop over at Copper Canyon for us too and tell us they're still using the promo code Hockey10, so you can get 10% off any of your orders over there. So go and tell Rex we say hi, and then give us about an hour and a half, and we'll be right back again at the Hobby Gnome downtown. If you want to come out and drink a beer with us, with Brian Gratz, who is the new assistant coach at ORG Beijing. With Gary Graham over there. So if you guys want to hear some fun stories, I know he's got a bunch of them. So other than that, though, thanks, Kaleigh. We appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully we can hop on again. Halfway through the year, the Spaceman, talk about our success.
There you go.
So,
there you go. All right, guys. We'll see you here in a bit.
Perfect. Yeah, I knew it wasn't our internet. Come on, man.